Hello everyone, I want to introduce you to Bailey. Bailey is going to be our helper for the behavior Leave It. She's a pro at this one, so we're going to kind of have to walk you through what to do, but she may take a couple of steps. She may be a couple of steps ahead of the game here. So we're going to try and ramp it up by giving her something a little bit more exciting to leave. But for you guys, since your dogs are going to be just learning this behavior, we're going to start with something less exciting. We're going to use our crunchy biscuit for the Leave It item. And we're going to use something more exciting. So a regular training treat, I'm using some natural balance rolls for our Leave It item. This is going to be a great test of Bailey's Leave It prowess because this is a pretty exciting item for her. So to start, I'm going to make sure that I have my leash and my clicker in one hand. I'm going to make sure that it's nice and loose, but that if I need to pull her back, I can. And we're going to move back just a little bit so you can see it's better. Good girl, can you sit? Good job. And I'm going to take this yummy treat, I'm going to show it to Bailey so she knows what we have, and then I'm going to close my palm. And when I do, she's usually going to either, paw at it, lick at it, sniff it, and when she stops, we will click, good girl, and then give her a reward. Nice job. Bailey's going to get a super yummy, extra smelly treat that she loves the best as her reward. That way she's got a reason to leave that item alone. So this time she's kind of got the idea. Oh, she's like, you definitely want paw though, Mom. I know you do. Good girl. Next step would be to open her palm in front of our dog. And if they leave it, good girl. We click and give them a treat. If they don't, and they go for it, which they often will when we first start, good girl, we would just cover it. So when she looks at it, I'll close my hand slowly. Good job. Good girl. Click for eye contact on me. That was great, Bailey. Now she's got the behavior down, but if you've noticed, I haven't been using the words leave it. We're going to start with those now. So now that she knows what I'm asking for, I'm going to start by taking that treat behind my back, giving her the cue, leave it, and presenting that item. Oh, good girl. Good job. Good job. Clicking for leaving that item alone and giving her the treat. So again, we're going to do this one more time. I'm going to use that word, leave it. Good. Click for leaving that item alone. Give her the higher value treat. Awesome. Very good. Hello everyone, I've got Gizmo here today and he's going to help teach you guys how to train your dog to sit. So sit's a great behavior to ask your dog for if they're excited. In a situation where they would normally jump, it's a great behavior that leads into things like lie down. So it's a wonderful thing to teach your dog when you're just starting out. Today, we're going to train this behavior by luring the dog into the position that we'd like to see them in. What that means is that we're going to take a yummy, smelly treat to our dog's nose and we're going to manipulate their body by moving that treat along, and of course where the nose goes, the body will follow until they're in a position that we'd like. Once we see the position that we'd like, we click, and then we reward. So I'm going to demonstrate this right now with the training treat. I'm going to bring this treat to Gizmo's nose, and while he's in a standing position, I'm going to bring this treat up and over his head, and as I do so, his bottom's going to hit the ground, and when it does, we'll click and reward. Good boy. So to get your dog out of the standing position to practice this one more time, you're going to take that treat to his nose, and at nose level, draw a line along the ground, or parallel to the ground, and bring it up and over his head one more time. He's like, you definitely want jump though, Mom. Good boy. Once your dog has practiced that behavior a couple of times and has kind of got the idea down, you can move on to the next step. Make sure that you're not really moving on to the next step until your dog has performed a behavior 9 to 10 times the first time that you ask, with pretty good accuracy. So if your dog's not really following the treat very well and you have to really shape the behavior, so reward for smaller increments of the behavior, then you might want to wait until your dog's got that down pat before starting to fade out your treat item, which is our next step. So, of course, we're not always going to be holding treats around with us, so the next step of this behavior would be to start hiding that treat behind our thumb. And as we do so, we're going to start introducing the hand signal for sit. So our hand signal for sit is this. From the front, it would look like this. Gizmo's like, I'm doing it, Mom, I'm doing it. Good boy. So I'm going to take this treat, hide it between my thumb and my palm, and I'm going to draw a line parallel to the ground to get him into a sitting position, and then bring that treat up and over Gizmo's head. When all 4 paws are on the ground, I'm going to click and then give him that treat. Good boy. We're going to do that one more time. We're going to scoot back so you guys can see us a little better. While he's in a sitting position, I'm going to bring that treat to his nose, draw a line parallel to the ground, bring the treat up and over his head, click for that bottom hitting the ground, and reward. The next step in this process would be to remove the treat altogether. So now we're going to take an empty hand, and we're going to start to associate that behavior with the hand signal of sit. So I'm going to take my hand, lure it forward to get it into a standing position. I might have to make him walk in a circle, and then bring it up and over his head. Good, clicking and rewarding for the bottom hitting the ground. Good job, Gizmo. We'll do that a couple more times, and again, once your dog is performing this behavior reliably, then we can move on to the third stage, which would be to add the verbal cue. I don't like to use verbal cues while I'm training a behavior because as a verbal creature, humans love to speak, and we'll continue to say that word while we're practicing the behavior to the point where our dogs will forget that it's supposed to mean something. So the first time that I introduce a cue word, I want to make sure that it's after the dog knows and understands what behavior we're asking for. So in order to implement this cue word, we're going to start by adding the word and then using our hand signal to ask for the behavior. So we're chaining that behavior. We're asking for something new that they'll associate with something that they already know. So I'm going to get him into a standing position. I'm going to give him the word, come on, bud, sit, and give him the hand signal, click, and reward for sitting. Good job. So again, once you practice that about 9 or 10 times, then you can move on to the next steps, which would be grouping with distractions, adding distance, and adding duration to that behavior, which would be stay. So for this behavior, we're going to start by taking a treat to our dogs, or getting our dog into a sitting position, sit Gizmo, and bringing a treat to his nose with our opposite hand, and drawing a line from his nose to the ground, good boy, and clicking for all 4 paws being on the ground. This behavior might be a little bit harder for smaller dogs, so you might have to reward for smaller stages of the behavior. So for instance, you would take several different treats into your hand, ask your dog for the sitting position, and reward for following that treat down to maybe collar level. Then reward for following that treat down to chest level. Good boy. And so on and so forth until your dog gets all the way to the ground. Very nice. So I'm going to ask our dog for our sit. I'm going to get a treat in my other hand. Good boy. And I'm going to hide it between my thumb and my palm and lure my dog down into the down position. Very nice. Click and reward for those 4 paws being on the ground and the belly. And then we can move on to our final step, which would be just taking our empty hands and rewarding for following our hand down to the ground, like so. So again, drawing a line with the front of our hand to the floor, right in between their front 2 paws. Now if we move that hand farther out while we're luring, so if they're in a sitting position and we move that hand out too far away from our dog's body, they're going to go into a stand. So now you guys know how to train a down from a sitting position, but our dogs aren't always sitting. Sometimes they're standing. So we're going to practice teaching this behavior from a standing position as well. Over here. Okay. Sometimes we got to help them out. And we're going to do that by rewarding for smaller increments of the behavior because a lot of times dogs won't follow that treat all the way down right away. So I'm going to set some goals. The first one's going to be to get her to follow that treat down to neck level. I'll click and reward for that. Then to chest level. Click and reward for that. It's stuck. Get it. Good girl. Then following it down to about just above the floor. And then finally all the way into the down. And that would be shaping a down behavior.